Would you rather be Obi-Wan Kenobi or Luke Skywalker? This is not about Halloween. This is about marketing. In your marketing, is it better to be Obi-Wan Kenobi, the guide, or Luke Skywalker, the hero? Let's talk about telling your story and what it can do for your marketing. Welcome to episode 46 of the Cheeky Sales Coach. If you haven't read A Whole New Mind by Daniel Pink, I highly recommend that you read that book. It's also a great audio book. He's a really good writer, great material. One of the things he talks about in that book is how many of us are actually more left-brained than right-brained. In other words, if you're right-handed, you're left-brained. If you're left-handed, you're right-brained. Well, those left-handed people, the right-brained people, are beginning to have their day. In other words, we are moving away from having our sales and marketing be dominated by statistics and moving towards a world in which storytelling plays a bigger and bigger role. Don't get me wrong. Storytelling has always played a massive role and in fact has always had a certain appeal inside marketing and sales. When you think about the classic hero's tale, there is a hero who is leading a reasonably normal life and then something happens, they have a challenge they have to overcome, and then they go out to seek that. They have many smaller challenges along the way. There is a guide who helps them. Eventually, they find whatever it is they're looking for, and they're successful. That basic story can be told in many ways from many perspectives. Here are 6 or 7 things you need to know about using stories to tell your tale in marketing. Thing number 1, everybody loves a story. Think about your favorite books. In fact, think about your favorite business books. They have really great stories in them. The best blog posts talk about people's lives. They talk about challenges that were overcome. Even if they're trying to sell real estate or sod or new roofing or whatever. Whatever you are selling, using tales of people who have met similar challenges and overcome them is a very powerful tool. People can relate more on a one-on-one basis than they can to the generic statistics of what percentage of the people solve their problem by doing this, that, or the other thing. Some people love those statistics so much they end up not having an interesting story. Remember, you got to have both. Today we're going to talk about the story side of things. Thing number 2, if you have high pressure stories techniques, you will have lots of additional challenges. But here's the deal. There's kind of this combination of high sales because of the high pressure and high returns. I love the way Russell Brunson talks about using stories in your marketing. Now, he's famous for funnels, funnel hacking, funnel marketing, but his books, DotCom Secrets and Expert Secrets, tell a great tale about using stories. Yes, in particular, your own story, but not necessarily your own, the story of an interesting character, the story of your business. If you can draw people in and say, oh, you know, I had this challenge and I was going along and it all worked out okay, and then one day I discovered an amazing thing. Tune in next time, we'll talk all about that. I love that technique. And he talks about using serialized emails and that sort of thing. Ultimately, I personally tried and then dropped his funnel system simply because it does appeal to people who want to buy on a whim, and the result of that is a higher level of returns that I'm comfortable with. I'm sure that you can use it to finesse people into lower pressure sales. Just be aware, high pressure funnels might have a little bit of flow coming back up, just saying. Thing number 3, having just said that, some kind of funnel system is awesome. You can build your own or you can buy into a commercial package. Basically, funnels work by saying, okay, you're here, let me entice you to add something to your cart. Once you've added it to your cart, now we get your credit card information and so forth. And then, I'm going to offer you an upsell. Hey, would you want fries with that? And you might say yes, you might say no. If you say yes, then you're offered something else. If you say no, you're offered something less expensive. If you say yes, you're offered something more expensive, and it can go on for a long time. The issue with those kinds of funnels is that they do sell more when they work, but very often now people realize in the modern world, sometimes you get stuck in a funnel and you just opt out. And then you've got an abandoned cart. So that has more to do with sales than it does marketing. I'm more interested today in talking about the marketing piece of how you talk to people about putting themselves into the top of your funnel. Thing number 4, provide content and become the hero. Marcus Sheridan's book, They Ask You Answer, is all about content marketing. Again, I always encourage you to take the good, leave the bad, use what works for you. The whole concept of content marketing is awesome. In fact, it may be the single greatest marketing technique of the last 50 years. Look at what I'm doing in the Cheeky Sales Coach. .com. I am giving information in hopes that you'll subscribe to the channel, watch the videos, give it a thumbs up, share on social media, subscribe to my newsletter, check back in to see what I have to say the next time, and as a result, you pay with your attention span. All of that is content marketing. I am giving you ideas, I'm giving you things to stick into your brain that you can kind of mull around and turn into juicy, good information that makes your business more successful. Yes, I do have something to sell, but it's not the first thing you get. The first thing you get is content, 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 content. And many people take this and, as Marcus Sheridan does, merge it with their own story to say, here's how I solved his problem, here's how I solved his problem, here's how I solved her problem, here's how I solved her problem. And so they become the hero in this story, solving everyone's problem. There's a lot of appeal to that, but just remember, the downside is that you're talking about yourself more than the client, even though the important focus should be on the content piece of the content marketing. That leads to thing number 5, don't oversell when you're trying to do content marketing. Content marketing is not about me, 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 me. It is about you. It is about the listener. It is about the viewer. It is about the reader. Content marketing is truly intended to be a reader-first experience. Think about the most powerful search term on YouTube. The most powerful thing that ever gets searched on YouTube is how to ... So if your videos start with how to, and you better deliver that how to, you can expect a little extra traffic. Why? Because people go there to learn how to do something. I have looked up how to remove speakers from a specific model of car that doesn't have a tool designed for removing the speakers and doesn't have speakers designed to be removed. Guess what? I found multiple videos on that. We all go to YouTube and say, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do that? The people who are putting out that information want you to like their video. That is kind of the cost of admission, right? It really doesn't cost you anything to click like, subscribe, and that's what you should do. But remember, when you're creating this content, you can't say, I'm amazing and spectacular, and look how I have shown you how to do this. Nobody cares. They came to that site, they came to that video, they came to your blog or your podcast to learn something that will make their life and their business much better, not yours. Sorry, it's not about you, it's about your reader, your listener, your follower. Thing number 6, consider being the guide and not the hero. I know Star Wars was not about Obi-Wan Kenobi, but let's be honest, the story really wouldn't go very far without Obi-Wan. Your client doesn't want to read about you being a hero. They are the hero. They are the ones who were just going along, doing their business, and now suddenly they have a challenge, and they need somebody to show them how to overcome it. They need a guide. I encourage you to look at Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand. He talks about becoming the guide, ways that you can build guide principles into your marketing so that you never sell yourself as the hero. You're constantly pushing the client as the hero, but yourself as the guide. And the best part about it, once again, go back to content marketing, is that you do this by showing people how to solve problems. You become the guide automatically and naturally. And then when people need something, they want the next level, they need some extra information, they think, who knows everything about this? The guide knows. And so you put on the cape, you get the hood thing, and you become Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's good to be the guide. It's also good to have a little bit of humility and let your clients be the hero. Finally, number 7, mix it up. Here's the thing. I just gave you 6 different points about all of this stuff from very confusing, conflicting perspectives. The reality is you don't have to pick one. In fact, the reality is you should choose different methods at different times. Sometimes you need to be out there with a solid, usually sales process that leads people down a funnel to a cart with a credit card. Sometimes you need to tell the story of how you in fact were the hero. And sometimes you need to be the guide, showing people how they could be the hero if they just follow your advice. Mix it up. The beautiful thing, as we talked about earlier, is that marketing can never end. It must go on for the rest of your life. So have a campaign that works with funnels. Have a campaign that tells your interesting story, builds up you as an interesting person to follow. Have a campaign that shows yourself as a hero. Have a campaign where you play the guide and you simply educate the actual hero so that they can do it themselves. Remember, in all of this, you are building authority as the person that someone can turn to who knows about these things. Probably the best advice I could give you is to be consistent, produce good content, and truly be competent at what you do. Show people in various ways how good you can be, and then when they have an actual question, you should be one of the people that they go to. Now go forth and be a hero or a guide or something. For the Cheeky Sales Coach, this is Carl Palachuk, wishing you the best of luck in everything you do. Call to action. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you won't miss a thing.